Oregon, Penn State. Like you said, how does that Ohio State, loss, how does that factor into the fold and how the committee looks at it? Because again, if you have, a two-loss team, three-loss team, I mean, I can't imagine too many three-loss teams getting into the fold unless, again, maybe the margin of loss is so minimal that and the wins were so impressive that maybe could offset. But I'd have a hard time imagining, that if you have a undefeated team who's kind of looking, from the outside in, even if it's a weaker conference, I'd have a hard time believing that they might not be able to, sneak in, even if it's at the tail end, if they win a championship.
The one blemish really changes their entire profile of their team because you just look so dominant when you don't have a loss. And then you have the one loss to Michigan, and that changes everything.
Exactly. Yeah, and again, you look at the margin of victory and strength of schedule. I think that's what it's really going to come down to for the committee. And again, I'm curious to see if do they expand more
right.
With all these changes. I know we were talking about last week, even with hockey and looking at where players are able to play at different times of the year, their eligibility. I mean, obviously that's a huge thing. Even just with we talked a little bit about NIL and the transfer portal last week with Joe Delich, and I'm really curious just to see again, as some teams go on to win these really important games, how big of a deal is it, or how much does it have an impact on the transfer portal? Somebody lose, and then,
right.
Quarterbacks are instantly looking for their next team to try and jump into. And I know that's the case with DJ. Man, I always butcher his last name. I think it's Uwe Ungale, something close to that. But he had played for Clemson at one point. I know he's kind of been bouncing around from, he went to Clemson and then he went to Oregon State, and I know Dylan Gabriel, kind of the same case too. He's had a couple of different teams that he's played for as well too. So there's a lot of things that are constantly changing. As teams go on to win, maybe they want to double down and stay another year. Maybe if they lose, they're looking to go on to the next team. So a lot of interesting things to talk about college football.